that being said, we see that is much deeper than unrighteous sexual relations, and idolatry is much deeper than having idols in your possession. We must flee from fornication and abstain from all manner of sin to not be in fornication against the Father. Fleeing from our idolatry and sinful ways of Babylon is the first step in fleeing Babylon's process. And when we talk about fleeing, this should be our primary focus, not only physically migrating.
Right, not only physically migrating. There's a lot of things as people, as individuals, that we have to really purge out of ourselves when we get into this wilderness, or when we start to come together and execute out of this country. We're going to be together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, toothpaste going to run out after the first 30 days. Toothpaste going to, then deodorant a couple weeks after that. Right. Lotion gonna be going the first week, the first few days. I mean, if we don't love each other now the way we are, I mean, imagine all the oil gonna be going, my dreads gonna be to the left and to the right. But I ain't gonna be the only one, because hair gonna start growing back. You're gonna look like Common. The whole world is gonna be different, brothers and sisters. All this, how we look clean shaven. Y'all don't love us now. Ooh, we get ugly around here, and vice versa. No perms gonna start to grow out. Nah, those weaves gonna get a little loose. I do hair, so I can speak on this. These hair wraps gonna start to get dingy. Baby, you ain't got another hair wrap? This orange one is killing me now. We gotta love each other on a whole nother level. We got one can of beans. Got 30 kids, 80 adults, and one can of beans. Quiet, huh? Fighting in line just to get your kid in line, not for you. From tallest to shortest, youngest to oldest, my baby. It's going to be a different universe, brothers and sisters. And if we don't love each other now, like everything is good, while we got water, I mean, we got everything, we still don't get along with each other. Right? Boy, I want it, but I'm skeptical. I love y'all, but I know y'all. Because I know me and I know my own family. Now imagine me bringing my mom and you bringing your uncle, you bringing your, they not in the truth like we are. But they with us because we love them. I think that older people should get pings with the babies. But hold on, mama, the truth allows us, we have to do it this way. Well, no, you was over everything before everything fell apart. I need for you to do this. I want you to do that. See, we have to stay with what's already given to us by establishing a base of understanding from the beginning. We're the base of understanding, so we won't have all those rebels coming in on the outside talking to us, suggesting us to do things that's outside of what we already know according to the scriptures. I'm going to read this real quick. Exodus 20:14, thou shalt not commit adultery. Let's go into Leviticus 28:10, whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress, shall surely be put to death.
Well, that's what the law back then. You was put to death. Now, I mean, who would be alive? Christ had to come and bring that grace. Because Israel was so destroyed through slavery and being asleep for 400 years, we understood that not. So now we got boyfriends and girlfriends. All right, this ain't gonna work out. And then y'all break up and go another way. Well, how did the Most High look at that relationship? It's not the way you looked at it. Well, he was just my boyfriend. It didn't work out. Well, I have yet to run into boyfriend in the scriptures. You read it yet? Anybody? You read the Bible a couple times, right? You seen boyfriend? I have yet to run into boyfriend yet. Our girlfriend. So what are we doing? We're mocking the will of the Most High every day, and it's become normal. You're not even, when you're young, 17, 18, 19, you have a boyfriend, you break up with him. The last thing you're thinking about is the Bible and God. That's the last things on your mind. See, so now we have to recalculate our children to value who they are, starting with the men. Do you not know a man's virginity is just as important, if not more so, than a girl's? Because his virginity is going to determine his bloodline, what's in it and what's not in it. We have to start teaching our boys, hey, it's not a prowess to have as many girlfriends as possible. Right? That's why we all play football and basketball, right? That's why we all went to the gym, right? Brush our teeth, wash our hair, right? Because we wanted to be preferable to the most females as possible. We had to rethink that. Why? Because first of all, Judah's the royal bloodline. There's a way we're supposed to operate. You're supposed to only touch who you're promised to, just like a woman would be, and on the same side. Now we can't be kings and royalty because our men just spread themselves around the whole face of the earth. We don't have no power in the world, so we try to take on a physical prowess. And it leads into a sexual prowess that now everybody uses against us. Because now all the pedophiles are brothers. All the rapists are brothers. But when you turn on the TV, there's a narrative. And it's where we have to start. We have to now contain ourselves. We can't be the ones out showing ourselves masculinely only in a physical way. It now has to come with the educational part of these things. Let no man gainsay you. Speak the truth and stand with it and be able to prove what you have to say through precept and understanding. That's how you build a prowess over sexual power, intelligence, wisdom of the Holy Spirit. Let that shine through before the physical aspects of who you are shine through. All right, let's finish Leviticus.
Verse 11. And the man that lieth with his father's wife have uncovered his father's nakedness.
And you would think this is unnecessary. Go into Egypt. Go into Greece and Rome, and you will see this plain as day. Pharaoh was married to his two sisters. When you see that statue of Pharaoh and two women behind him, both of those are his blood sisters. So these scriptures aren't put in vain for here. Moses is leaving out of Egypt where he's bearing witness. He lived in Pharaoh's household. He knew that was Pharaoh's sister. Go ahead.
Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them.
Right, because we know that Reuben did that in the 12 patriarchs. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. We're going to jump into Proverbs 6 and 32. I think Elder Carr did this.
Right. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 32. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh of understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul.
Go ahead.
A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. And then we're going to go into
Matthew 5 and 27. Go ahead.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman and to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Right, but when the sin is his heart is in his mind. Because if you in your heart want to deal with a woman, every day you're going to come comfortable with that idea and you're going to manipulate situations to bring it forth. The Bible says, don't you know ye are gods? So then in your mind, when you just start to develop a plan or aspect of what you want to do, it just through power who you are, it will start to line itself up. And then now you find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, either way you're going to execute or not. And by the time you're at that point, you're already executed in your brain to where it's okay. You'll put an excuse in place and say, all right, it's all right to do that. We all have that in our lives. And it's not just a physical thing. It can be with food, money, whatever the scenario is. We develop it in our mind, our heart first, because our heart and mind is synonymous with each other when it comes to the scriptures. We're going to James 4 and 4.
James chapter 4, verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Most High.
Yes, sir. Matthew 16 and 4.
A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed.
Right, because we was talking last week. These brothers want a sign. I need to see this to make sure this is right. Or I didn't. Brother, ain't no sign for y'all, because whatever sign we give you, you ain't going to believe it anyway. So let's go all the way back to what the Bible says. The sign is Jonah. For you to get swallowed up by a fish and be 3 days in the belly of a whale, and then come out healthy and go out and do the will of the Most High. That's it. If you don't believe that story, there's nothing for you. You don't believe that Christ is the only begotten Son that died on the cross and brought your life with his blood, you're dead already, brother. If you don't accept Christ for what he's done and humble yourself before it, there's no words I'm going to be able to speak. Because Christ's actions ain't going to convert you. My words ain't going to have no effect. But most people don't read the story about Christ and know what he did. They don't know how Christ died on the cross. Detail, brother. They got him. And they talked about him, right? And they whipped him a little bit, and they told him to get on the cross, and he died, and now we all Christians. All right, that's a fine overall view. But brother, you lose the details and the sacrifice. And we need the details. We can get into the story and feel the love of the character. That's why the Bible makes you love Christ by the time you get to the New Testament and realize what he's done. We let the Creator let its creation take its life. Not take it, but have them lay it down for their sacrifice. No one does that. No man is going to send his son to die for a disobedient, hard-headed, sinful people. But the Father loved you so much that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That's important. But because we don't know these scriptures and the life that was sacrificed that we may have life, we don't take the value in it and we continue to live. That's wild, man. Men with no understanding and no respect. Because I put it on the men, and I see a lot of people get on women, but I know this: your women is as tough as the men are. If the men ain't nothing, the women are pushovers. If the men are strong and solid, the women are strong and solid. All right, where we at? Wisdom of Solomon? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 13, whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 13. Their offspring is cursed. Wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which hath not known the sinful bed. She shall have fruit in the visitation of souls. And blessed is the eunuch, which with his hands hath wrought no iniquity, nor imagined wicked things against the Most High. For unto him shall be given the special gift of faith, an inheritance in the temple of the Most High, more acceptable to his mind. Verse 15. For glorious is the fruit of good labors, and the root of wisdom shall never fall away. As for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out.
Right, now understand there's grace in that now. Christ has came and taken that away. But what it's saying is the children that you had outside of your marriage, which would be a lot of us, which some of us are even those children, that the Bible says those children will be cut off. But now with the grace of Christ and not understanding who we are, then now that comes with understanding. Like, nah, I'm not going to take these children because of the ignorance and wickedness of their parents, because they didn't even know any better. See? Because technically, my mother married my father. She already had children. She technically was married to another man and another man before that, before they brought forth me. So would I not be a child of fornication in a sense? Yeah. But through the laws of men and through the divorcement, then now we look at it totally different through the laws of man, allow this to go forward. But if you're breaking down technically by the law, all of us would be children of fornication in one fashion, form, or another. So there had to be grace through Christ. All right, commentary, brother?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, Salaki, back to my scriptures. Yes, sir.
Verse 17. For though they live long, yet shall they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. Verse 18. Or if they die quickly, they have no hope, neither comfort in the day of trial. For horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation.
See, so that's, we have to understand, that's the deepness of us sinning and breaking the laws of the Most High, to where your children won't even have a promise of salvation because of the wickedness you operate on. Why? Because the sins of the father shall go on to the son. Officer.
Yes, sir. Just like idolatry and fornication, adultery is much deeper than the physical act and has to be understood on a higher spiritual level. The Most High made a covenant with Israel, and by breaking that covenant, it then becomes adultery. When Christ made mention that the generation we are in now would be a wicked and adulterous generation, he wasn't just speaking about the baby daddy, baby mama culture that the minority community in Babylon glorifies, but that this generation would be similar to the evil generation that existed during the time of Noah. By making themselves friends with the world, we join in league with all the filthy customs and practices that the Most High hates and calls abominations, And we have an article here. It's Why Adultery is on the Rise. Despite these challenges, it appears that its 2005 rates were about 22%, while 2016 surveys suggest it's now closer to 33%. Men are more likely to commit adultery than women, but that gap is closing slowly. One reason for these increasing rates is because the way marriages looked at has changed quite a bit from the last few decades. Marriage is no longer considered the permanent, sacred institution that it once was. Today, there are increased incidents of premarital sex, cohabitation, divorce, separation, remarriages, blending families, single parenthood, and individualistic social values and expectations. This leads to overall increase in adultery. In general, overall, changes in society feed into the reasons why infidelity is on the rise. Today, it is easier than ever to get on social media and contact old flings despite being in a monogamous relationship. The easy access to communicate with others decreases rates of religion, overall lack of respect of marriage, and the increase of an individual focused culture are just a few of the many reasons that this change has happened. Your marriage doesn't have to end in this pain, though open communication, trust, compatibility will help you to keep your own marriage away from this destruction.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer. I don't do Facebook. Do Facebook, that's on you, that's your thing. I graduated high school in 1990. I'm good with not being in contact with none of my classmates. I have no issue with that, no problem at all. I'm not looking for nobody to call. Yeah, we went to junior high school together. All right, congratulations. I see you on the other side, brother. Peace. And it's not, that's just me. That's not my personal opinion. I don't judge nobody walk around with Facebook, but I clown my daddy for being a 60-something-year-old man on Facebook with Dr. Love under there. I'm like, brother, Dr. Love died back in 1984, man. That just, but that's my dad. I love him to death. So I let people do what they want to do, but I'm not into the tweet and Facebook. It don't have no value for me. I grew up with, there was no computers. I grew up playing Uno and Monopoly. I grew up doing hopscotch and double dutching. I didn't grow up with all these technical things that's up in your house. And then now, everybody want to get on and tell their own personal business. I hear the elder every week, hey woman, hold your shame. Hey brother, hold your shame. We get on the show, yeah, I used to do this, and me and your daddy was together to this, and you gonna learn today? Hold on, bro. Why are you putting your personal business that's shameful like that on you? It's one thing to say, hey, I came from the bottom. It's another thing to tell what you did last week. It's another thing as a sister to tell, hey, I've been doing this with me. Why are you doing that on Front Street and putting everybody in your business? Then you go to church and you're sitting there like this, wondering who know your personal business because you done told everybody. Wondering, thinking everybody talking about you. And believe me, I dealt with this as a counseling issue, thinking everybody talking about them because they didn't told everybody their business. Why are you telling everybody your business? See, we create our own monsters. Because why? We want to be seen. We'll say anything just to be seen and don't understand that people take what you tell them and add 10 to 20. We know that. There's black folks in the community. Come on now. I didn't become an Israelite and lose who my family is and how people operate. People going to hate you for whatever you do. When you do good by them, they're going to talk about you. And when you do bad by them, they're going to talk about you. So the best thing to do is be yourself. Mind your own manners. Keep your business to yourself and execute. Serve Christ. Do the will of Christ. Only what you do for Christ is going to last. Telling everybody your business ain't going to do nothing but make you embarrassed and hurt. And then you're going to walk away from the church blaming us. He did this to me. They couldn't have did it if you didn't give a chance and opportunity, even if that's the case. But most of the time, or 99% of the time, it isn't. Hold what's to you for you. Keep your private matters private. My daddy said, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And not because he was doing nothing notorious. It was just understanding. Because if it comes out your house, once it's out there, it never gets put back into it's like Pandora's box. Once it's open, it's a wrap. Especially in this day and age. Once it's on the internet, how many people didn't put pictures up and things up on the internet that they wish they never had? Losing jobs, careers, and yet we still won't learn. Less is more. All right, where we at? Leviticus 20 and 13? Yep. Let's go right into it, brother.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. And if a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Verse 14. If a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you.
You finished out with Leviticus? All right. Yeah, we was just looking, I just want to talk on it. Yeah, so I just skipped the list. The Supreme Court rules gay marriage is legal. Now, we don't need to go into that because we've been around and we understand what's going on. But understand this, when you allow your nation to make a law that men and women can marry each other, Sodom and Gomorrah. That's how you know you're at the end. You're establishing the same things that they allowed back. That's why it was a law at first. They knew it's wrong before the eyes of the Most High or any God to allow that as a law. How can you say you love God, but then go against every principle that the God that we're supposed to believe in through this Christian book is being pushed out the way? Listen, I don't care what you do in your bedroom. Why does that become a law?
Seriously.
It's still the Bill of Rights. You don't have, it's still a Bill of Rights. They haven't even made that a law yet. But two men running into each other, two sisters kissing, hey, that's all day for us. We want that. We need that in our society.
And they push it in cartoons.
Man, cartoons. We mean the news. I watch Dunn Lemon every day. It's just mad as all outside. Like, brother, me and you aren't even on the same page. You cannot go home to another man and then tell me what's righteous walk on the news. It's not happening.
Yeah, I'm just saying you can't like watch even like a kid show.
No, oh man,
it's crazy.
my wife we was looking at. They got this little Teen Titans, Scooty dance, a little Scooty dance on Teen Titans, and kids just up twerking, and they call it a little Scooty dance, but it's a cartoon based for kids. So yeah, that's why I say it's horrible that we almost have to sit down and cartoons are rated PG on regular TV. Yeah. SpongeBob ain't no better. Nope. It's horrible. They got this one show where they dress up in these weird characters, but they shape like weird toys. That's the best way I can explain it. And I'm like, this is for kids?
They used to sneak it in on the back of the
Sneak?
Remember?
Sneak.
Bugs Bunny used to have make lipstick on all.
Yeah, dress up like a woman, then kiss Elmer Fudd on the mouth. That was all right. Okay, they pushing the limit, but now they don't sneak it on. They just slam it on there.
And if you ain't with it, they're looking at you funny.
Right. I'm mad because you got witches dressed up and playing like they little teenage girls going to high school, living regular lives, but they're practicing witchcraft.
I'll suffer not a wish to live.
Suffer not a wish to live. Why? Because that idea of being a witch is going to commemorate in our community. And they're going to open up portals and windows for these evil spirits to come through and dwell with us. That's why you didn't suffer these things to live. All right, I don't have to deal with you with my computer.
Yes, you got to hit these two.
Yes, sir. Yes, go right into Leviticus 20 and 15.
And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast.
Ain't that crazy? You mess with the beast and you got to kill the beast too as well? That's wrong. That's just wrong all the way around for the beast side of the game. But what man say, okay, yeah, that cow over there is doing it for me?
But that's the thing, they had to kill the cow because I ain't gonna eat that cow.
Yeah, I'm not eating it. Oh, that beef is bad forever. No, you can't bring none of that. You can't bring none of that to me. Matter of fact, you can't watch none of the animals no more for me. Matter of fact, this whole slaughterhouse gonna go down because I don't know what you've been doing for 3-4 days in a row. You ain't answering your phone and you in the pasture with the cows. Well, what's going on, bro? But that's what I'm saying. That's what Martin Luther King brought into our communities by holding hands with everybody. You can't hold everybody's hands because everybody got COVID nowadays. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not doing it. Stop it. And it should have been practiced back then. Learn not the ways of the Gentiles. And I love Martin Luther King. But any man that follows the dream, follows the wind. I mean, you can't execute with understanding with these Gentiles through a dream you had. I need to execute with them through these scriptures.
Can I add scriptures?
Anytime.
Ecclesiastes 17:17. For the division of the nations of the whole earth was set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Most High's portion. So we're supposed to follow his laws.
Right. We're not supposed to be subject to man's laws. Now, in Rome, when you live in Rome, but you follow their laws in line with the commandments, because the commandments will not get you against the law of the land. You're not going to kill, you're not going to steal. You're not going to take advantage of people, you're not going to take nobody's stuff. I mean, if you live within the law, even in Rome, you should be all right. All right, where we at here? Leviticus 20:16. Yes, sir.
Verse 16. And if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Right, and that's sad because the beast didn't have nothing to do with it, but we know that animals don't have spirits, so that's not it, but the woman. And believe me, that's not irregular. Because in the Caucasus Mountains, there was things going on. That's why the Most High was telling you, don't give your daughters and sons to these people coming out these caves. You're going to run into something you don't want in your bloodline. And now you can go into Tuskegee University and look into what they were operating with when they came out those caves. All right, commentary, brother?
Wasn't pretty.
Went at all.
All the states in the U.S. where bestiality is still legal. It's not good. If you thought America couldn't get any weirder at the moment, you should probably know that Ohio's Senate has only just got around to voting through a bill banning bestiality. But it still has to go through more lawmakers before it becomes a law. You know, Ohio, I ain't surprised.
No, right, read the states though. Because I'll be laughing at the state. Okay, y'all see him, right? I'm looking at Nevada, and I'm like, whatever goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We grew up in Vegas. In Henderson, when we was little, you weren't allowed to go into Henderson. You could drive through it, but you weren't allowed to go into Henderson. Because Henderson was the city that the people built the dam, that's where they lived. Black folks were not allowed. So when my grandfather came from Louisiana to Las Vegas, thinking there were jobs here, he had to go to Vegas. He couldn't live in Henderson. So all the poor people had to come down and live in Las Vegas. That's how Vegas really grew faster. And then Henderson, once the dam was done, the people took the money that they made off the dam, and most of them moved to Vegas. Some of them stayed in Henderson. But before then, there were no Jews, no blacks, and a sign in Henderson that we're not allowed to be there. But yet here I'm looking at that you can have sex with animals, but we could live in Henderson in the 70s. It's just like the more you know, the more like, oh, if you ain't ready to leave here, what you doing? We'll go right here. We're going to finish that up with this.
And it says, and that's, it's one of the 10 states where bestiality currently isn't illegal. The others are Hawaii, Kentucky, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, Texas, Vermont, West Virginia, Wyoming, District of Columbia, and according to Michigan State University of College Law. So you can't ever talk about New York now.
At all. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm humble. I talk about Mississippi all day. I ain't got
Now I'm talking. The seriousness of the crime also varies in the states where it has been outlawed. Some see it as a misdemeanor, and others classify it as a felony.
No.
Some states also require the defendant to undergo psychological assessment.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Stoning, I think, is what they should
The best way. All the counts are going to come with these rocks.
Exactly.
Because if you need a grown man to tell another grown man it's wrong to sleep with a chicken, brother, come on.
Chicken.
You can't come to my neighborhood. You can't come to the house. You can't do nothing. I ain't got nothing for you. I ain't got nothing for you. Somebody got to tell you to leave the chicken alone.
Didn't Super Chicken say?
Well, you know there's a story about the dude that had chicken, right? You know there's a real life. I'll get it to you later. You go around, you'll see it. Then, if a chicken can't get away, we ain't got a chance. All right, where we at? We done commentary?
No, we're not. For instance, or prohibit the perpetrator from owning or living with animals. Well, I hope so.
You can't live. I don't understand you can't live with kids. All right, you can't live with an animal.
Yeah, that's not good.
But we going to heaven.
Right. While sodomy and bestiality are things that haven't existed on a high level in minority communities in the past, these two abominations are on the rise amongst minorities where in these last days our society continues to promote and push this culture. The fact that sodomy has been legislated as lawful for over 50 states under American law and that bestiality is legal in some states gives us great insight to America being the modern-day Babylon, Sodom, and Egypt, to say the least.
To say the least. All right, Acts 15 and 17. Whenever you're ready, brother.
Acts chapter 15, verse 17. That the residue of men might seek after the Most High, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, saith the Most High, who doeth all these things. Known unto the Most High are all his works from the beginning of the world. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to the Most
I
High.
mean, we don't go against the people that want to walk with us. We don't hate them just because they're not the same color. If they want to walk and follow Christ, we show them even just as much love. And I'm even preferring it even more so they can feel welcome and part of what we're doing. Because for you to be kings, there must be subjects. For you to be up, there must be somebody down. But it's going to be equitable. No one is going to serve another man. I don't believe in being a king and y'all should serve a king for forever. Every man should have a pursuit of happiness on their own. The only king I'm representing is Christ and the Father. And whatever job they ask me or require of me, I'm going to do. But as for another man to serve, no man should serve another man. No man should serve another man. We all came through that same mother, Eve. No man should serve another man. Go right ahead.
Verse 20. But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood.
Right, so they're telling the Gentiles, come away from those old ways of the Greeks and the Romans. Come away from dealing with each other. It's okay to deal with all that stuff. Have to go. Eating, drinking, and blood and all that stuff, and eating something, all that has to be out the way for you to walk with us as Gentiles within the truth. We're going to go into 1 Corinthians 5:1.
1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. It is reported calmly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as it is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. And ye are puffed up, and have not rather mourned that he that hath done this deed might be taken away from among you. Verse 3. For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already, as though I were present, concerning him that hath so done this deed.
Yes, sir.
In the name of our Most High Yeshua Christ, when ye are gathered together, and my spirit with the power of our Lord Yeshua Christ, to deliver such a one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Most High Yeshua. Verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump?
Leaveneth the whole lump. A little sin, a little misunderstanding will make you a sinful creature all the way around. Like, hey, you got a glass of water, I spit in it. Now, the rest of the water is good. The spinach is only on top. Now, here you go.
Nope.
No. Like Malcolm X said, you have a glass of water and put one drop of ink. See? You only need a little misunderstanding to bring forth a whole chaotic situation. That's why he said, abstain. Keep you away from these things. Stay away from the leaven. Die. Like Paul said, I die daily. Everybody should be understanding that. Meaning every day I resist these sins. I kill that man of flesh so he doesn't resurrect and come and take over the righteous work I've been doing with my spirit. Revelations 2:17, whenever you're ready, sir. Oh, sorry, Salaki.
No problem. And you know, to add what the deacon said, so you know GMO is classified as a pesticide, not a food. So it's the same thing. If somebody was giving you a glass of water with some roach spray in it, would you drink it?
No.
So why would you eat a food that's got GMO? Sodomy, bestiality, adultery, fornication, and idolatry were all Gentile practices and customs from the very beginning of creation of man. However, Israel did not take heed to the Most High's laws and command not to learn and follow after the ways of the Gentiles. Israel has far exceeded these abominable acts on a greater level than the Gentiles could ever do or have done. Just notice how flamboyant men in drag and dresses is being pushed in Hollywood harder by the black man than any other race, because nobody does it better than Israel, and that includes wickedness too.
Exactly, because who else gonna walk around with a beard, a wig, some red bottoms, a tuxedo top, and a palm dress bottom? I mean, come on. Like he said, who do it better than Israel? Man, proud. There's a dude in Atlanta. He's like the biggest barber ever. I mentioned him before. He cuts hair in high-heel shoes. That's what makes him better than me. He cuts hair in high-heel shoes. And he's going to be better than me, because if that's what it requires to be good, I'm not good at all. Because it makes no lot. Why would a man that want to date other men dress like a woman?
With grizzle on it.
I'm still trying to figure that one out, because hold on, you like men, but you want your boyfriend to dress up like a woman. Let's just get a woman. I'm not a really deep thinker. I like puzzles and stuff, but that's not a puzzle. Why? You understand? I just don't even grasp the whole idea of it. I mean, you got a beautiful woman sitting right here, and I'm looking at Officer Charles like he a cake, and all these beautiful women just sitting here with beautiful hairstyles, with glitter on, everything. Nah, you get that away from me.
Gotta be a spirit.
Right, I need shoulders and backs and muscles. Bad breath and hairy armpits. That's what I.
Stop. What's the next scripture?
But y'all had something is in your head. Something is dealing with you beyond. What's more beautiful than a woman? Not even food sometimes. The majority of the time, even over that, I can not eat because your wife is so beautiful. Y'all can chill with that. I'm good. I can look at you, wife. Y'all go ahead. You and the family, y'all enjoy. I'm happy just having a happy family. Just my family unit encourage my appetite. So I just don't get in this there. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a long nail. I got to clip them.
Nails on the chalkboard.
Yeah, it's like it just boggles the mind, bro. That's why we got to lead, brothers and sisters. That's why we got to lead. Go ahead.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 17.
Yes, sir.
He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written.
So when we get into the wilderness, when we find these stones, it will be a new name for all the families. It will be given to a white stone. Go ahead.
Which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. Verse 18. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These things saith the Son of the Most High, who hath his eye like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works in charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Verse 20. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication.
No, you mean to tell me Joyce Myers ain't supposed to be up there in pantsuits with that little boy haircut? No, you can't tell me that ain't supposed to happen. See, that man is when you come away from these scriptures. Why? Because once you let a little leaven in, now you didn't went to women preachers. Now what's the next step after women preachers that we run into? The homosexuals in your choir. And so forth and so on. Now they teaching your children. Go ahead, brother.
The rest of verse 20. And to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I have gave her a space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds.
So all those people that's in her congregation will receive the same judgment she's going to receive, because they know better than this, because I'm pretty sure they read Revelations. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and the hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works.
Yep. No,
Okay, yes, sir. Sisters have to guard themselves from the spirit of Jezebel, which is the spirit of setting themselves up as high prominent figures over the church, usurping the authority of the men. By doing so, it not only is fornication against the Most High, but then it will cause other people under these women, authoritarians, to commit fornication and to be led astray also. Our characteristics of the spirit of Jezebel are women who are defiant towards their husbands, women who are despisers of the dominion of and authority of the leadership of the church, and the women who manipulate men to do evil. And let's not get it twisted. There are male Jezebels too. And that's going to take us to...
Yes, sir. 2 Chronicles 21 and 11. Go right ahead, brother.
2 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 11. Moreover, he made high places in the mountains of Judah, and caused the inhabitants of Jerusalem to commit fornication, and compelled Judah thereto. And there came a writing to him from Elijah, the prophet, saying, Thus saith the Most High Power of David, thy father, because thou hast not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat, thy father, nor in the ways of Asaiah the king of Judah, but hast walked in the way of the kings of Israel, and hast made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a whoring like to the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and also hast slain thy brethren of thy father's house, which were better than thyself. Verse 14, Behold, with a great plague will the Most High smite thy people, and thy children and thy wives, and all thy goods, and thou shalt have great sickness by disease of thy bowels, until thy bowels fall out by reason of the sickness day by day. And we're going to go into Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and playedst the harlot because of thy renown, and pouredst out thy fornication on every one that passed by. His it was, verse 16. And of thy garments thou didst take, and deckedst thy high places with diverse colors, and playedst the harlot thereupon. The like thing shall not come, neither shall it be so. Thou hast also taken thy fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given thee, and madest to thyself image of men, and didst commit whoredom with them, and tookest thy broidery garments, and coveredst them, and thou hast set mine oil and mine incense before them. Verse 19. My meat also, which I gave thee, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed thee, thou hast even set it before them for a sweet Savior. And thus it was, saith the Most High Power. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of thy whoredoms a small matter? Verse 21. That thou hast slain my children, and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them. And in all thine abominations and thy whoredoms, thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou wast naked and bare, and was polluted in thy blood. And it came to pass after all thy wickedness, woe unto thee, saith the Most High Power, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee an high place in every street. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and hast opened thy feet to every one that passes by, and multiplied thy whoredoms.
Wow, that's ugly. Meaning, he said it in a way that a woman would do it, but he's saying you're opening your gates to everybody to come through, and they bring every abominable act from each nation into your cities. And now you're feeding off or executing these same acts from the Gentiles we never should have touched. Go right ahead.
Verse 26. Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and hast increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger.
Meaning you taken on the Egyptian gods and started to worship Yahweh, the Canaanite god, Isis, Osiris, Ramesses, Astaroth, all these gods we took from Babylonian or Egypt at this particular time. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over thee, and have diminished thine ordinary food, and delivered thee unto the will of them that hate thee, the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of thy lewd way. Thou hast played the whore also with the Assyrians, because thou wast unstable. Yea, though thou hast played the harlot with them, and yet couldst not be satisfied. Verse 29. Thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan unto Chaldea, and yet thou was not satisfied herewith. Verse 30. How weak is thine heart, saith the Most High Power, seeing thou doest all these things, the work of an impious, whorish woman.
Right, how weak is our mind that you fall for every religion, every way, this way, you blow with every wind. Like a whore. You would just go with any pimp, any man that brings you, anybody that want to spend any time with you. As a nation, we've done that. You're Buddhist, you're Christian, you're Muslim. I mean, what religion on this earth we don't participate in? Huh? If Moses came and looked at his people today and seen the different religions that he would out, Moses would rip his hair off and throw sackcloth on, and he would be just totally destroyed with who he's seen, that this people that has seen miraculous works by the Most High are now following the gods of the other nation and being destroyed within that. Go ahead.
Verse 31. In that thou buildest thine eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thine high place in every street, and hast not been as an harlot, in that thou scornest hire. Verse 32. But as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband. They give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and hirest them, that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom.
Right, and he said, you give your gifts to the other nations. You know, dancing, singing, football, basketball, your gifts you're giving to the other nations to profit them, and still being treated like Dr. Rivers said, we love this country never loved us back. Is that a description of a lady of the night? She makes or operates love with everybody else, and at the end of the day, everybody treats her like garbage. No one loves her. That's how Israel, because Israel's a woman in the eyes of the Most High. And look how he's being used and mistreated, taken advantage of. This dude shot a brother in the back 8 times, 7 times, and they're going to go watch a basketball game. Is that not exactly what the Bible is telling us? We give our gifts to everybody else as they murder us, and yet they still enjoy our prowess of skill. I can kill a brother and go look at a concert. Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, whatever I want from these people, I despise and hate. But yet we'll turn it on and watch it and enjoy it. Listen to the Christmas music. You know, we're singing Christmas carols, and they'll put it on and hate you at the same time. You know, we love Michael Jordan, but his kids we'll shoot at. It's the type of people you're dealing with. They love the ones that they can respect. And oh, you're different than from the rest of them. How? Because I can jump. Because I can put this ball in the hoop. Because I can run this ball past this line. Did you put that on the ground? I'm better than my brother because of that? Yes, because that's the only value we have for you. Go ahead.
Verse 34. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms, and in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary.
Contrary, you do all this and no reward is given. You sacrifice everything. You even go against your God, and your reward is death. Go ahead.
Verse 35. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Most High.
Listen, O harlot. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Most High Power, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms, with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them. Behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved, with all them that thou hast hated. I will even gather them around about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness. And I will judge thee as women that break wedlock and shed blood are judged.
Right, now check this out. Brought you here to America, let all the nations make money off you, despise you, hate you, look at your nakedness and shame, because y'all ain't number strippers, dope dealers, and crackheads and everything, spreading disease. Every nation is here to bear witness to that. I'm going to gather every nation in one place and look at your nakedness. Is that not America? Go ahead.
And I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy.
I will give you blood, they're killing our children, fury from the angles that hate you for being black, and what else?
Jealousy.
And jealousy. Who ain't jealous of us? Everything we do, they copy and take it and say they did it first. I remember when we was little, I mean, it's not a good thing, but the girls been twerking in our neighborhood since the 70s, 60s. Now, all of a sudden, Miley Cyrus do it for one song, and then now it's everybody's. But I'm using that as an example to show you that you're greatly imitated and never given the respect and honor of being the originator of these things. We started rock and roll. Who's richer in rock and roll, us or them? Rock and roll ain't nothing but R&B, rhythm and blues. And rhythm and blues ain't nothing but blues. And blues ain't nothing but those old spiritual songs we sung during slavery. And yet you benefit a tenth of that maybe? Is that? And you are the creator of every musical genre in the United States, including country, because country music ain't nothing but blues.
Even classical.
Right, even Bob was black. What do you mean? During classical time, classical music, white folks could not read or write. It's in the Dark Ages. So who's reading and writing and composing music during the Dark Ages? Only brothers that I know of, because those are the only people, the Moors that ruled Europe, were building universities and were reading and writing. That's why it's called the Dark Ages, because black people were in control and in power, and the other nations were in darkness. That's why they had to have a renaissance or a rebirth of their power coming out of the Caucasus Mountains. We're right here, brother.
Verse 39. And I will also give thee into their hand, and they shall throw down thine eminent place, and shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewels, and leave thee naked and bare.
Right, and all the stuff they took from us, you go right to the Vatican and find it. The ark, the clothes, the jewelry, all that's there. The breastplates for the children of the royal bloodline of the priesthood, they have all that. They got all your stuff right there in the Vatican. Why they? Huh?
Not the ark.
No, they don't have the Ark of the Covenant. No, but they got the breastplates that the priesthood used to wear. They got all that stuff. Yeah, they didn't get the Ark because Ezra took the Ark and gave it. All right, we're going to Leviticus 18 and 6. Go right into it. I mean, and just shoot right to it.
Leviticus chapter 18, verse 6. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Most High. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother, that thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Verse 8. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad. Even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. Verse 18. Verse 10. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for there is thine own nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife, daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister, she is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thine aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Verse 16. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswomen. It is wickedness. Verse 18. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime.
All right, now that last one, y'all got it. Like the Bible's just saying, because these rules have to be laid out. You're coming out of Egypt. Egypt's doing all these things in triplicate. But the last one was, you're not allowed to have two sisters and a brother. It's not allowed. You're not to uncover another sister's nakedness with another sister's nakedness. It's not allowed. Those are the ways of the Gentiles. That's how they operate. That's where you get the word orgy and all these different things from. That's uncleanliness. That's how they function. That's what they did. You don't get it. You're coming out of Egypt. All of this is celebrated. This is what Pharaoh did from top to bottom. That's why all these stories are, these incidents has to be laid out. Because Pharaoh didn't care who you was. Right? Caesar didn't care who you was. You know, when Caesar got killed, you know, Cleopatra left Caesar, went right to Mark Antony. You know that, right? So, did anybody, y'all know, is that a mark in history the way they make a big deal out of that? No, because that's what they operated with. And you talking about her, what about the little boys? You know, Knights of the Round Table, and they got that little boy walking around with their sword and all that. What do you think he was? He just carried swords all day?
Squire.
Yeah, the little squires. Oh no, altar boys. You ain't got to go into the Catholic Church. You know, first of all, I don't know what man leaving his son alone with another man. How does that happen? First of all, I'm not babysitting your kids, so you ain't got to worry about that. Deacon can little know. I don't keep my own grandkids. I raised 4 boys by myself. Am I obligated to babysit somebody's baby at this point? I need a vacation. I've been raising kids since I've been 18 years old. I'm in my almost 50. No, I'm good. I don't need my grandbabies know I love them. You don't have to spend the night at my house to know I love you.
You love them from a distance.
Yeah, I can love you with that stick. And I'll do anything for them. But when I go to bed, I don't have to worry about milk, babies, diapers, and I'm not doing that. Because I did mine. And so we have to recognize that These things must be put in place because you're coming out being a nation. And you come out of Egypt and you bring that Egypt state of mind into the wilderness, you're going to have that same confusion. All right, let's go into it. We're ready.
Commentary.
Yes, sir, commentary.
Terms like whoring, whoredoms, and harlotry are oftentimes used in Scripture to describe the fornicating nature of Israel when they go after the ways of other gods instead of following the ways of the Most High. The law shows us how sacred a person's nakedness is, and that it was never to be exposed or uncovered, but because of the disobedience of the Most High allowed his wife Israel to have her nakedness uncovered by all the enemy nations that Israel followed after. Because of this adultery against the Most High, it makes sense to see the so-called minorities in the fallen state that they are in today.
Right. That was purpose. Most I said, I'll bring all the nations around to show it. And that's why on the news and media, they're always building you up in a certain way to make sure that you're not looked at as people of royalty or in a regal stature. Because you have to realize, when one brother rules, the other brother has to be on the bottom by process of elimination. It has to happen that way. So then now he understands that once his rulership is over with and we stand, they have to go to the bottom. So if you know in this transition you go to the bottom, you're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure it doesn't happen. Hence the high level of military action and inventions that's going to be against God's people. Because once you know you're at the top, you've been at the bottom. You know what the bottom consists of. You see the people at the bottom, you're doing it too. And yet your prophecy is to be there yourself. Before that prophecy is brought forth to fruition, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to make sure this doesn't happen to me and my people. The same way we're trying to fight tooth and nail to get off from the bottom. But hey, they understand like we understand. It's a flipping. It can't be, it ain't gonna be no halfway. It ain't gonna be no equality between two brothers that should rule. Esau know he should rule because he's Abraham's descendant. And Jacob know he should rule because he's Abraham's descendant. And he was both also given a birthright. That's why black men are unhappy all the time. We're trying to find happiness, and we're happiness within our construct. But there's a missing hole in our hearts, and all black men, we feel it. We watch the news, and we see the unstableness of the world and the stupidity that's been executed on. And every black man in this room got a way to make this work 100 times better than what they even attempted at. And yet you have no voice. And not only do you not have no voice, if you open your mouth, we'll shoot you in the back. Or in the front, whichever way, it don't matter. Right? And then get on TV and tell the biggest lie in the world. And the funny part about it is, everybody will believe it, including your own people. I had to talk to people. Oh, he should have just did what the police told him to. Even if he did, they just would have shot him 3 times instead of 7. Y'all don't get it. Doing what the police do ain't never saved our life. Why do you think most of us are hung with our hands tied behind our back? Because we submitted. Oh, we got it now put the rope on his neck. Hold on, I was trying to do what you told me to do. Yeah, and now we got you handcuffed, put the rope around his neck. See, y'all forget those days. Everybody that was hung, look at the pictures, they got on suits. I ain't never seen nobody hung with the blue rag or red rag gang, baby. Everybody I seen got hung was legit people trying to do the right thing and fell victim to a society that's bent on killing them no matter what social standard you have. And if you think Kobe helicopter fell out the sky because it stopped working, don't be silly. Anybody else helicopter fell out the sky since Kobe? Before or after? Do your math. So it didn't matter what statue was. Kobe was almost a billionaire. His plane crashed, his helicopter crashed, just simple as like yours will. Go ahead. 1 Corinthians 10 and 5. Go right into it.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. But with many of them the Most High was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were our examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted. Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed, and fell in one day, 23,000. Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed of serpents. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured, and were destroyed of the destroyer. Verse 11. Now all these things happened unto them for an example, and they are written for our admonition upon whom the ends of the world are come.
Right, so it's an example for our understanding for the people that's going to be alive when the end of the world comes. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that follows. We are these generations that will see and bear witness to the beginning of the end of the world. Babylon has fallen, has fallen. It will be implemental. It would be an overnight thing, but it would be implement things in between that sudden destruction.
That was 2 Ezra 6 and 9.
Yes, 2 Ezra 6 and 9. Make sure you put that in your notes as well. Jude, Jude chapter 1, verse 4. Jude is the second last book in the Bible.
And Revelation.
Revelation, yes, sir.
Jude chapter 1 verse 4. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our power into lasciviousness, and denying the only most high power and our Lord Yeshua Christ. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Most High, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he had reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. Verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them, in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh.
Going after strange flesh means operating within yourself. Men loving men, women loving women. That's strange flesh. And animals as well. Go ahead.
Are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Likewise also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities.
Right, despise dominion of righteousness, and then speaks evil of dignities, meaning righteous acts. Like, nah, brother, I'm gonna keep myself a virgin till I find a wife. Oh, boy, you a nerd, homie. You can't hang with the rollers. We players around here. See? Because if a man say, nah, bro, I'm gonna treat myself better. You know, I'm gonna find somebody special for me, and I'm gonna lock it down that way, bro. I ain't trying to be out there like that. Yeah, man, you know how we do out here. Yeah, we know how y'all do out here. Look at the world. Look at the chaos. Look at the children running around with no daddies. Look at the single women out here struggling, trying to be the best woman they can with a baby by themselves. That ain't fair, that ain't right. And then we go to jail, we go to prison. Or we link up with another sister, and then we raise another man's kids and then have another baby. I've been there, I lived that. I got 3 kids. I'm raising 3 other kids. Can't even get to my kid because my baby mama mad at me. So she won't let me be a father, and now I gotta be a father for another man's kids, and he in prison. That's every day, that's everybody's life. Who don't know that? In one fashion, form, or another. Some of us are raising our nieces and nephews, our children's children. My mother had to raise her great-grandkids, had to go to the system, become an adopt a parent, and had to raise my 2 nephews who didn't do nothing but go to prison themselves. So it's almost like fighting a losing battle till we get back underneath the law. All right?
Yes, sir. During the time before the flood, we know that the sons of the Most High came down from the heavenly realm and fornicated with the daughters of men, which led to a presence of rebellion against being set. Other societies post-flood, whether it was Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, etc., followed after this standard that the fallen angels had established, which led to the destruction and the judgment of these societies. We must learn not to follow after the abominable examples left by them, or the Most High will make examples out of us. Our rebellion against the Most High is what leads us into the many different forms of fornication. And that brings us to Ephesians 5 and 1.
Go right into it, brother.
Ephesians chapter 5 verse 1. Be ye therefore followers of the Most High, as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to the Most High, for a sweet-smelling Savior. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you, as becometh saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of the Most High. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of the Most High upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers with them, for ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Most High. Walk as children of light.
All right.
Lost it.
Yeah. Take it one moment. All right, we're going to go into Colossians chapter 3, verse 1. If ye be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of the Most High.
No, I thought Christ was Jesus. And Jesus was God. Or however they got in the Christian church. See, these Christian scriptures are here, and yet they're being ignored to push an idea to fornication or idolatry just for money now. Money and prowess. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Set your affection on things above, not things on the earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ and the Most High. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory.
Right, so when Christ appears, we're going to get that glorified body. That's what we have to understand. We're doing this. We're doing this because we've been bought with a price, but there's also a reward at the end of this, a justification of standing with Christ. Christ gets 1,000 years on earth to rule because he sacrificed his life. Well, you get that rulership with Christ because you sacrificed your life in the wickedest time in the world. This is the wickedest time in history. And because you have sustained yourself, you receive the same reward as Christ as a rulership for 1,000 years on earth. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry, for which things sake the wrath of the Most High cometh on the children of disobedience. Verse 7. In the which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them.
Right, so we all been guilty of these sins with a sin. But now we're coming to now sustain ourselves and keep our members in a righteous way that we may be used as a vessel of the Most High. So this is Thessalonians 4:1?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 1. Furthermore, then we beseech you, brethren, and exhort you by the Most High Yeshua, that as ye have received of us how ye ought to walk, and to please the Most High, so ye would abound more and more. For ye know what commandments we gave you by the Most High Yeshua. For this is the will of the Most High, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor, not in the lust of concupiscence, even as the Gentiles which know not the Most High, that no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter, because the Most High is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned you and testified. Verse 7. For the Most High hath not called us unto uncleanness, but unto holiness. He therefore that despiseth not man, but the Most High, who have also given unto us his Holy Spirit. And then we're going to go to Revelations 21:5.
Yes, sir.
And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. Verse 6. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his power, and he shall be my son. Verse 8. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and the murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is in the second death.
Which is the second death. Right ahead.
Revelations 21, verse
Just jump
22.
down to the 22nd verse.
And I saw no temple therein, for the Most High Power Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it. For the glory of the Most High did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it.
So in other words, the nation's going to bring all the gold and anything of value into the kingdom, building the kingdom. But also, there shall be no more night, meaning the sun is going to turn into sackcloth, and Christ is going to be a light into the world 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. Darkness is a creation of Lucifer. Lucifer created darkness to hide his sin. Right? So then now when Christ come back and bring the second coming, bring that second judgment, he's going to do away with that darkness in the earth. Go ahead.
Verse 27.
Yes, sir.
And there shall in no wise enter into anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
I mean, ain't no flesh coming to the other side. And ain't no wickedness, evil, or misunderstanding. If you ain't already in line with the Most High and what he has going, you're not making it on the other side. Only those that love the Most High with all their heart and soul and keep the commandments of Christ, those are going to be the ones that make it. Everybody else is going to be judged. All right, commentary, brother.
The Most High sent his Son to erase the standard and example that the fallen angels started and that the world has followed. We must follow the standard of Christ and walk after his footsteps, as the scriptures say. And just like under the old covenant, there wasn't allowed anything unclean in the temple so as to keep it undefiled, it's even more important that we are mortifying our temples, keeping them pure without blemish, spot, and wrinkle. Whores and whoremongers will not be allowed in the kingdom of heaven, brothers and sisters. It is time to flee from fornication and stop partaking in the sins of Babylon and drinking from the cup she has weaned us on. We must put down our rebellious ways, all forms of fornication, and be in total obedience to the Most High. Shalom.
Shalom. That's our lesson for